Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to share with you my top essentials for a minimalist, non-toxic, and sustainable kitchen. So I consider myself an aspiring minimalist. I'm always trying to get rid of things in my home that I don't need and just really focus on things that give me value. I'm also always trying to make an effort to reduce my waste and just live a more sustainable, low-waste lifestyle. So I really enjoy cooking. I spend a lot of time in the kitchen. I make at least 2 meals every single day in my kitchen from scratch. So obviously my kitchen is going to reflect that. If you have a different lifestyle, there's obviously going to be different things that you deem as essentials in your kitchen. I also consider our kitchen very small. We live in Canada and I know that this is definitely geographical. We've done lots of traveling in Europe and I know that there the kitchens are so much smaller. We've definitely experienced that. But I would say that where we live in Canada, our kitchen is considered very small, and not so much small in like space. It's actually quite big, but it is very limited in storage space and counter space. So I have to be very intentional about the things that I keep because I don't have space to have a whole bunch of extra stuff. And again, if you have a huge kitchen with a ton of storage or a ton of counter space, your essentials might look different because you just have room for more things than I do. And the things that I'm sharing today are not all of the things in my kitchen. This is not an exhausted list of everything that is in my kitchen. These are just some things that I think are essentials that I use all the time, every single day, or if not daily, then at least a few times a week. And they're really just items that make my life easier in some way. And I decided not to include the super obvious basics like regular utensils and bowls and cups and things like that. These are more like gadgets and appliances that I would use like for cooking. So the very first kitchen essential that I wanted to mention is my cast iron pan. I absolutely love my cast iron pan. It's actually the only frying pan that I own. We actually don't have any non-stick frying pans anymore. I swapped them when I learned all about Teflon and just how detrimental that the chemicals in that can be. And of course there are other options for non-toxic cookware, but I love my cast iron pan so much. I waited so long to make the swap to cast iron and I absolutely love it. I recommend it to everybody and I use it every single day at least once or twice. And I love that it can be used for everything. It can be used on the stove, it can be used in the oven, you can use it to make just easy things like eggs or pancakes, but then I also love to use it to make like a stir fry or like pasta sauce, or I make sourdough bread in it in the oven. There are so many uses for a cast iron pan and I love that you buy one time and it should last you your entire lifetime as long as you take care of it. And I will just mention right now that I will have all of my favorite products linked in the description box below. And if I couldn't find an identical one to the one I own, I will have a similar one linked below for you guys in case you're in the market for one of these specific products. Okay, and the next item is my blender. I have a Ninja blender and it's very affordable. Of course I would love to have an upgraded version like a Vitamix, but honestly my Ninja works so well. I've had it for 3.5 years and it still works amazing. I use it several times a week. I obviously make smoothies in it, but it can do so much more than just smoothies. I'll use it to make soups, use it to make like dips, or almond milk or oat milk. My husband even uses the little smoothie cups to blend up his coffee beans, so we don't have to have a whole separate coffee grinder to do that. I just love that it has so many uses, it's so versatile, and it really takes the place of several different items, but you just have to have one. And the next item is my KitchenAid Mixer. So it might seem weird to have both of these on the list, but honestly they do such different things and I love my KitchenAid Mixer. I feel like it's one of those things that a lot of people try to talk you out of getting, especially on your wedding registry. People will be like, you'll never use that. But I use mine all the time, at least a few times a week, and to me it's so worth it and it's also beautiful. I'm not gonna lie. I really just love it and I do think that it's worth the money. They also go on sale all the time for like half price, so it's definitely worth the money if you can get one half price. And I love to use mine to make shredded chicken. You just put a cooked chicken breast or a couple chicken breasts in it with the cookie dough attachment. It just perfectly shreds your chicken. I also love the bread dough attachment and it works so well for making bread instead of having to hand knead things for 5 to 10 minutes. And then obviously I use my mixer to mix up things like cookie doughs or cake mixes or just kind of like the standard thing. You can also use it to make whipping cream or mashed potatoes. There are so many uses for it and I really do think that they're worth the money. The next item that I think is a kitchen essential for any kitchen or any minimalist kitchen is a good set of knives. So we have a full set of knives with a knife block. I know lots of people like to forgo the knife block because it's kind of a waste of space, but honestly I like having my knives right out on the counter, especially because my kitchen hardly has any drawers. Those are very precious. So I actually really like the knife block. I think that it's so convenient. It just sits out on my counter and I can grab a knife whenever I need. And it really does make a difference to have really good quality sharp knives to use. And then my knife block also came with a little sharpening tool, and I do find that that does such a good job at sharpening my knives in between uses if it feels like it's getting a little bit dull. Okay, the next kitchen essential is a large soup pot. So honestly, this wasn't even something that I registered for when I got married, but someone bought me one anyway, and I remember she said, this is something you'll use all the time, and I really do. I use my soup pot all the time, obviously to make soups, but it also just comes in really handy if I'm cooking dinner for more than just my husband and I, like if we're hosting a Thanksgiving and I'm making mashed potatoes for a whole bunch of people. It's so helpful to just have a really big pot instead of worrying about water spilling over and making a mess with a smaller pot. So the next kitchen essential is mason jars. I use mason jars for everything. I love using them for storage. I use them for drinking. I use them for all my baking goods. I'm really lucky and I have a bulk store close by to me, so I can bring in mason jars and they'll weigh them, and then I can buy baking ingredients like flour or sugar or whatever I need, and then they actually take off the weight of the mason jars. So I love mason jars. I have so many of them and I just am always finding uses for them. I also use them to propagate plants, which obviously isn't really a kitchen thing, but there are so many uses for mason jars around your house. The next item, this is another one of my very favorite kitchen essentials, is having glass Tupperware. And someone previously was like, they're not Tupperware, Tupperware is a brand name. I don't really care. I feel like everybody just calls them Tupperware, but glass containers for lunches are such a game changer. I really don't like plastic. I've always tried to avoid it. And I love the glass Tupperwares. We use them every single day. We use them for leftovers. They're safe to put stuff in the freezer. You can put stuff in the oven. So sometimes if I'm making like a dip or something, I can put it in one of those, have it in the fridge until I'm ready to cook it, take it out of the fridge, put it directly in the oven, which is so cool. It's not gonna crack. Obviously you don't want to put it in the oven with the lid on, but they're so good. You can heat up leftovers directly in them because they're glass and not plastic. And we've found that ours are so durable. We've had them for 3.5 years, and I think we've broken 2, and my husband takes them to work every single day. He's pretty rough on stuff, and he's only broken 2 in 3.5 years. So I think that that's pretty good, to be honest. I think most people expect that they would just all break within a couple months, and they really haven't. There's been several times where I've just straight up dropped one on the ground and I've never had any of them break. I think that my husband only broke them because he has them in his gym bag and he'll like throw it across the room. So, but I really love the glass Tupperwares. If there was one thing on this list that you wanted to take my word for, that would be it. I love them. The next item is my electric kettle. And I'm sure that everybody has a kettle in their home, but I just love my kettle. I love that it boils water in a couple minutes. I really hate stovetop kettles, which is funny because I actually have one right behind me, but that's actually just for aesthetic. I don't really use that one, which doesn't really seem like minimal kitchen, but it brings me a lot of joy. I love it. I think it's adorable. So I do have that one, but it doesn't actually get used. I love my electric kettle. I use it several times every single day. It boils, I've never timed it, but it boils water really, really quickly. And I love that it also boils a lot of water and it's easy to clean. You just run like a vinegar cycle through it. So an electric kettle is for sure a kitchen essential for me. But I'm curious if you are an electric kettle person or if you are a stovetop kettle person, because I feel like people are really conflicted on that. I'm definitely an electric kettle person. Okay, and my next kitchen essential is a toaster oven. So we actually don't have a microwave in our home. We have no intention of getting a microwave. I don't really like them. So when we're heating up leftovers, we either heat them up in the oven, on the stove, or in our toaster oven. So I love that the toaster oven, first of all, they're much smaller than a microwave, and we don't have a toaster, we just have the toaster oven. And I love that they're so versatile. You can actually bake in a toaster oven. You can make like cookies or muffins or whatever you want in a toaster oven, which I think is really cool. So I'm definitely team toaster oven. And then the very last item is my silicone baking mats. I love those. I would be lost without them. I love that they replace using aluminum foil or parchment paper, so they're so much less wasteful. And we make a lot of like roasted vegetables in the oven. So previously I always used to use parchment paper or aluminum foil because otherwise I just found scrubbing a cooking tray is so annoying because they're always too big for the sink and it's just a nuisance. So I love the silicone baking mats. And they're super, super affordable, so you really have no excuse to try those out. And then along with those, I'll just throw in a little bonus one here, is silicone muffin liners. So I also have some of those. I honestly think one of the worst things ever is when you make muffins without liners and then it gets so stuck to the pan, and if you don't wash it right away, you have to soak it for like 2 days and then it takes forever to scrub it. I just find that so annoying. So the muffin liners are a game changer if you bake a lot, if you love having muffins. I just love that they reduce waste and they're so easy to clean. So there you have it. There are my 10 kitchen essentials for a minimalist and lower waste kitchen, or really for any kitchen. I think that these would be beneficial for anybody. So I hope you enjoyed that. I would love to hear in the comments below what your #1 kitchen essential is. If it's something that I missed, I would love to hear it. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in a few days.